Guys, my name is Jacob Trunzo. This is round 2 of recording this video. The first one came out to be a half hour, so I figured I'll post the longer one, but I'm also going to record a really short one for those that just want a quick overlook of what's going on here. So really quickly, and I mean really quickly, I'm going to run through this. So this rig has two parts. The first part is Ableton, and I'll go through this real quickly in a second. Second part is Lemur. Lemur is a MIDI controller software for iOS. So I've basically got a set of faders, a keyboard, 4 infinite pads, some navigation, and then some other controls. I've got effects. These guys are effects for a Juno control surface I have to control a Juno plugin. And then there's some other things that I have that I've been working on, like a chord sheet, different patches I can launch, etc., etc. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'll explain one part of this really quickly, but for this, what you really need to know is that I've created a control surface for the template, and it works really well. It lets me have on-the-fly control of most of the things going on. So let me dig into the, minimize this real quick. Let's dig into the Ableton rig here real quick. So you see I got a couple different channel strips here, for lack of a better word in my mind. First I got the Nord. So this Nord is Nord control. This sends patch changes to the Nord if I want it to. This pulls in the audio from the Nord. I've got a tracks thing, lets me drop in tracks and guide tracks so they'll fire. Got clicks, so I can fire audio clicks. You can also fire actual clicks if you want. Just depends on who I'm working with. I got a keys channel I'll dig into, but essentially this is my patch changes, etc. control. Lets me switch patches similar to main stage. I'll explain that in just a second. Here's a keys template. The keys template is what I use. Is basically a bank of sounds down here that I can pull out at any time to flow or do whatever needs to be done in a worship set. I actually use this the majority of the time because I'm not a real stickler on patches. I feel like between the control I've got on my iPad and then my actual patches that I can make do through almost any worship set unless there's a very, very specific thing that a worship leader wants on a particular day. I've got two channel strips here. One is infinite pads controlled from MIDI clips, and one is infinite pads controlled from the iPad. These buttons right here. So these essentially, real quick, these buttons send a MIDI note to the infinite pad channel strip, and I'll explain it in a minute. But it plays a pad, an ever-evolving pad. The last thing here is a Juno. It's how you know Lex Juno 60 plugin. A lot of you guys have probably heard of this, but really effective. And I've created that control surface I showed you earlier, right here, that replicates the on-screen controls. So I can, let's see if it wants to sync here. I can move. It's not showing you the ADSR here, but rest assured I can move each of these ADSR points, and then I also have control over all the faders and everything, and it reflects on the control surface itself of the Tau Lex. I'll come back real quick to everything. On the right side I've got essentially patch changes if you want to compare them to anything. Each one of these is a scene that fires down the line and lets me switch between. I can navigate over on the iPad. I'm navigating here, and then I can fire from the iPad. It's really nice, really convenient. So let me go through real quick and talk to you about the keys channel and the keys template. If you want to know more in depth about these things, I'm going to post a second video. It's going to be about a half hour long. It's chock full of information on how this is actually working, but I'm really quickly just going to touch base on this stuff and show you what it can sound like. So the keys channel here takes advantage of the chain selector feature. So if you look right here, you'll see that this guy's actually moving, and what that's doing is it's sending the MIDI down each channel strip rather than all of them at the same time. So it lets me switch between them. On each one, I've got an instrument rack with a bunch of different sounds on it. So let's say I'm on, let's go to the start. Let me turn this on real quick. First thing you'll notice is that this guy lights up. When I switch to patch 2, it goes dark. This is actually disabling the racks using using the chain selector. I can actually turn each device on and off as I'm going down while it's also switching the MIDI. Saves a lot of resources on your computer, and it's really freaking nice. But let me just show you real quickly. So we're on patch 1. Turn my Nord off, and got a piano patch. I've got Peter James Velvet pad. Been using that for a really long time. It's running through Valhalla Shimmer. I've got a cheesy saw patch that's just there for placeholder's sake. A shimmer pad. A pulse. Some dulcimer sounds. A lead sound. And some chimey bells. So, you can see you got quite a few sounds there to work with. So I can pull up, let's just pull up this, 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 and this. And I can actually, in real time, control these sounds, pull them in and out using the iPad. Which is really convenient feature that lets me, as the song moves along, I don't have to be switching 5 different patches. I can just move the faders. If I really wanted to, I could sync it all up with a track. It's a lot of work when I can just do it myself. Now, this actually will switch. So let's watch this real quick. Yeah, it's gonna work like that, I believe. Let's double check here. You can see that the audio stopped. I'm still playing the keys. Oh, I just haven't loaded a sound into Contact on this one. But that brings me to my next point. So, using this, you can have a different set of sounds per. So, as you see, you can see here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I haven't set them up with a bank of sounds. So, I could actually throw whatever sounds I wanted into this guy. Now right now each of these faders is mapped to the same set of faders on my iPad so that I can control them pretty easily. And you might ask, well, if I move the fader, then it's going to move them on all of them. Yes, it will, but I've got a workaround for that, which works really great. Down here, I've done like a proof of concept. So if I hit start, watch these faders on this side here. You can see they've all gone to position X. Now if I go to, let's go to 2, you'll see they've all gone to a new position. What I've done is I've been able to recreate patch changes that also affect flying faders. So these faders are actually moving here, and they're actually moving on my iPad screen as well. What this lets me do is see what's happening in real time on my iPad, and then also be able to control it and have completely different sounds using the same channel strip. If that doesn't make sense, message me. But I can change sounds, have 40 different sounds with different volumes, or 10 sounds with different volumes on each patch, and they'll all reflect on my iPad whenever I switch a patch, which is really convenient. I think that kind of sums up that section. This is the real breakthrough here, is that I can use this and I send out the MIDI signal to the iPad and also to the channel strip, and it brings the volume up per patch, so that you can have preset patches per song without a lot of hassle. Next up is this keys template. So this is what I've been using for the longest time, which is just a bank of sounds. So let me show you this. Got the Giant, got a Rhodes, I got the Velvet Pad, Shimmer, the Pulse again, the Dulcimer arpeggiation, and a lead sound, or actually this is the bell sound. So with all that, I'm not gonna use the piano and the EP from the computer. I'm gonna use it from my Nord. So this is my Nord you're hearing. Then I can pull in the Velvet Pad. And let's navigate to here. Set the tempo to 81 BPM. I can pull in the Dulcimer. So that's just a real quick control you can have over that guy. So all it is a bank of faders and a bank of sounds, and I can pull them in and out. Let me touch on the infinite pads real quick. So there's two things here with identical, they're essentially identical channel strips. This is the main one that everybody else would be using. So I've created an Omnisphere patch that essentially develops over time and creates a pad sound over time that doesn't stay the same. It's using some modulation and some things that randomly generate to infinitely change. So just real quickly, let me show you. I hit enter here. This A is going to fire a MIDI signal into Omnisphere. On my iPad, I've got control over the volume and then additionally the cutoff filter here. So I can make this pad as dark or as bright as I want. Now let's say I want to go to the key of D. It gracefully switches between keys, and I can throw these, stop that for a second, I can throw these MIDI clips into any one of these. So I could have Glorious Day I believe is in the key of D. So hit here. Intro, 2, 3, and I can pull down the pad and go down the line. So it's as easy as that to throw a pad on anything you would like, and it'll keep just going, and you can shift it to whatever you want. Now this guy over here, on Lemur, I've got, where'd it go? On Lemur, I've got this keypad here. So if I hit D here, it'll light up. And then on here, pull up the cutoff again. If I want to go to G, just hit the G chord and you're good to go. Infinite pads. Simple, straightforward. Last thing, that's how you know Lex. Let me just show you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this guy on my iPad. So if I move these, let's say I just moved the high pass, we're going to go full. When I move that to full, now I can bring it down. So I'll just create a quick sound real quick. Do that, throw some reverb on it. and then turn on master volume, bring that up. So you're just hearing the Juno now. So I got full control over that Juno from my iPad. That's really it. That's a very quick overview. I didn't really dig into this guy, how this is working. If you want to know that, I'm going to post a second video that has explanations on that, but I wanted to get this video up real quick with just how this template works. So there you go, guys. Thanks.